members. We're at Trades Hall today in a meeting of over 200 of your colleagues from around the metropolitan area to launch our document. This is the document that will show the government how they can improve policing in New South Wales without cutting important conditions of employment. Download the document and have a look at it, and we'll provide you with continuing updates via the website, email and text messages.
Policing is a dangerous line of work. There's always going to be injuries, but a lot of these injuries are preventable with the introduction of safer equipment for frontline police. It's common sense that the number of preventable injuries would save New South Wales Police millions of dollars in compensation each year.
Take the thigh holster, for example. Many of our frontline officers suffer from significant back injury due to the problems with the current holster and whilst travelling in a motor vehicle. This is because the current holster forces the officer to sit in a twisted position in the car seat, and that aggravates the problem. Allowing our members access to thigh holsters will save a lot of money in workers' compensation costs and time lost from work.
The same can be said for other equipment such as load-bearing vests and tasers. There are many studies shown that here and overseas that the introduction of the taser and the load-bearing vest has saved significant injuries to those serving frontline police and also significant costs to the police services that have employed both the taser and the load-bearing vest. Studies have shown as well that the introduction of the tasers have reduced the number of violent confrontations between frontline officers and offenders without them even being tased. As we should say, just the mere fact that police have these on their belts is a deterrent enough effect to resolve a lot of these violent confrontations.
Another thing we are seeking is the power to arrest or detain a person for the purpose of serving an apprehended violence order. At this point in time, statistics show that 13% of apprehended domestic violence orders are returned to the court unserved, and therefore the victim isn't protected. Under the system that we are proposing, the order would be enforceable on the spot. However, there would still be the proposal that the matter could go to court if the defendant or victim wanted it varied or revoked. This system is not new. It's used in various other states and jurisdictions across Australia, giving police the power to issue an apprehended domestic violence order.
Current forfeiture laws in New South Wales have really failed to have an effect in serious crime in this particular state. That's where we can learn from the laws in Northern Territory, where unexplained wealth prevails. What it really is, it reverses the onus of proof. Instead of authorities here in New South Wales having to prove that wealth was acquired illegally, the onus then is reversed and the defendant has to prove that the wealth was in fact acquired legally. There are three very clear objectives to this legislation. One, to deter people from taking part in crime in the first place by reducing the possibility of them keeping the profits of it. Secondly, to prevent crime by making it harder for people to finance criminal activity. And thirdly, to remedy the unjust enrichment of criminals who profit at society's expense. These laws have really proven to have bitten into organised crime in the Northern Territory. Take, for example, the bikie who was found with over $1 million in cash yet had never worked a day in his life. Eventually, authorities utilising the legislation were able to have $230,000 forfeited to the Crown. Now, these monies can be utilised and can be directly channelled back into community protection.
Another way of making big savings is to use collaborative purchasing. If you bring together the combined purchasing power of all the Australian police agencies, over 70,000 employees, huge savings can be made. Things like computer licensing, equipment, uniforms, cars, aircraft, all of these have the potential to be purchased collaboratively across the country, resulting in massive savings for the New South Wales government. It might sound like common sense, and they're already doing it in many of the other states, but they're not doing it amongst police. There's a strong evidence from the Australian Procurement and Construction Council that suggests that savings in New South Wales could be in the vicinity of 25% of procurement costs.
Crime scene contamination by first responders is a constant threat. Even the most meticulous of investigators runs the risk of contaminating a crime scene. One of the best ways to reduce this risk is to eliminate the DNA of first responders from the crime scene. Currently, that's done in an ad hoc basis. It's time consuming, it's very expensive in terms of New South Wales Police and cost to government, and also, and most significantly perhaps, there's no protection for our members. Delegates of the 2008 Biennial Conference voted to have any introduction of DNA testing of police considered in terms of increase in salary. And most importantly, that as well as an increase in salary, that there be sufficient protections in terms of legislation introduced.